Hey there, this is JD coming at you for the third and hopefully final time until the season X begins. I'm tired of people who can't just look up facts and look things up on their own to actually understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to have to spell it out for people because they're dumb and people are just flat out stupid. Okay? I do not think Kirk Cousins is a shitty quarterback. I do not think that. I am saying I think he gets a pass because we are on our knees and ready to suck some dick for a quarterback, and he happens to be the only one coming along. We are desperate for one as the Redskin Nation. And I'm saying, no, this guy needs to be held accountable for what he does and does not do. And what I mean by that is, he has stats. He has stats, and I have statistics on a board here to show people because they're too damn stupid to look it up on their own and to see the comparison of what I'm talking about when it comes to this. Because people want to call me stupid. My opinion is based in facts and based on statistics. Okay? My initial video said that I blamed Kirk Cousins for about 85% of the team's problem. 10% was the defense, 5% was the offense. And I'm going to express why. Or 5% was the coach. I'm sorry. 5% was the coach, 10% defense, and the rest was Kirk Cousins' fault. Because Kirk Cousins, in this, I have some insider news reported by Stephen A. Smith, who knows a lot of people inside the locker room. You can take a guess at who it is because he used to work for the Philadelphia Inquirer, saying that Kirk Cousins, on a constant basis, changes plays to not get first downs, but to do check downs to keep his percentage higher. Okay? And he does it on a constant basis. He changes the plays at the line or in the huddle to do that. And he doesn't get held accountable for what he does and does not do. Okay, here's what I mean by that. First off, his yards, yes, he has a lot of yards. But in the game of football, in case people don't know this, you don't get points for yards. You get points for putting the ball in the end zone, which Kirk Cousins has not consistently done. Okay? He is the only quarterback in the history of the NFL to have more than 4,000 passing yards and not have 30 touchdowns. He is the only quarterback in the NFL to have over 4,500 passing yards and not have 30-plus touchdowns. How incredibly bad is that? Now, I'm going to show you on this nice little board here that I took the time to write up what I mean. Okay? Now, I'm looking at this backwards, so bear with me here. Kirk Cousins in 2015, okay, put up 4,166 passing yards. Yes, he did improve in passing yards. I will give him all that credit. But guess what he didn't improve in? He went down in touchdowns. 4 less touchdowns. We made our offensive line stronger. We added offensive weapons in Vernon Davis and Josh Dobson. We actually ran the ball better, and I'll show you that down here. And yet our offense didn't do any better. Wonder why that is. Kirk Cousins, right there. You don't believe me? I'll keep going. More interceptions. It's 1 interception, not a big deal. Okay, he did have more fumbles too, fumbles for losses, but I'm not going to get too much into that. Okay, completion percentage, it did go down, but that's a wash. It's only 2%. Okay, pass rating went down. QBR is about the same. Okay, this is the stat that I want everyone to keep in mind as to why I blame Kirk Cousins. Okay, everyone's going to sit there and say we were the best offense in the league at first downs. Who the hell cares? The first down is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. If you don't score the ball, I don't care how long you have the football. It is irrelevant to the game of football. Okay? I can go down here for real quick. Offensive yards per game. We did improve, but again, we're not scoring. We scored less. We just scored the same amount we did the year before. We have less touchdowns. The only reason we scored the same amount of points than the year before is because we had a better running game. The year before, 2015, last year, we had 1,566 passing or rushing yards. This year, we had about 130 more. That's why we did better. We had 3 or 4 more rushing touchdowns. Not because of Kirk Cousins passing, because of rushing. And once coming, we didn't have a running game. Our defense sucked. Our coaching was this. Well, we did have a running game. We had 130 yards better. Okay? Now, these are the stats that I'm going to leave everyone with and let them just suck on. Okay? In 2015, Kirk Cousins passed for 63.69% in the red zone. That's his completion percentage. That's extremely good. Okay? He had 345 yards, which means he's completing it and he's moving the ball from in the red zone to the end zone. 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Keep that in mind. The 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Let's go to 2015, which is this season, in case you're all losing track. Okay? 46% was his completion percentage. 46%. I rounded that up, actually. That was 45.86, I think is what it was. 46%. So he dropped nearly 20 points in his completion percentage. He dropped almost 100 and about 100 yards. Dropped 100 yards in his yardage in the red zone, and he had 6 less touchdowns. I'm sorry, 8 less touchdowns. I can't add 8 touchdowns, and then he had 2 interceptions in the red zone. See, those stats are less than these stats, which means he did worse. So that's what I'm referring to when I say he did not do as good this year as he did last year. Sure, he had a lot of yards from 20 to 20. But once you get in the red zone, Kirk Cousins didn't do anything this year. Now, let me go over here to 10 and in, which is a goal to go is what it's called, but it's 10 and in basically. Okay? 64 completion percentage in 2015. 99 yards, basically 100. 16 touchdowns, 10 and in. Passing touchdowns. These are his passing touchdown yards. Okay? No interceptions. 2015, he was 7th best in the NFL in his red zone 10 and in, how he did. Okay? He was 7th in the league in the red zone efficiency. Guess what he was 2016? 31.5 was his passing percentage. 31.5 was his passing percentage in 2015. He dropped, it cut in half. It more than cut in half. So if you take this number, 31.5, and times it by 2, that's 63. He cut his percentage in half in 10 and in. He cut his yardage almost in half, 56 yards, 43 less yards. 8 touchdowns. He cut his touchdowns in half. Crazy, huh? And he had 2 interceptions, which, that's just basically these 2 add up. And he dropped from 7th to 17th in the red zone. Now, what I would say is that is a very glaring stat that says he is not producing in the red zone or 10 or goal to go 10 and in. And that is what my point is he is not producing in the red zone. And that is why he did not have as many touchdowns. That's why he went from almost 30 touchdowns to barely getting 25 touchdowns. Okay? That is what my point is. Because if you look at this stat here, 22, that means 22 of Kirk Cousins' 29 points came in the red zone. Look at this. 14 of his 25 points came in the red zone this year. Amazing how these stats really just kind of paint a good picture, don't they? That Kirk Cousins severely underachieved. And I don't want to hear any excuses. He had Jordan Reed. He had Vernon Davis. He still had Pierre Garçon. He had all the same weapons, and he had a better offensive line this year. So I don't want to hear any excuses about it. So, the defense was this. Oh, let's look at the defense. Why don't we? Defense, 2015, gave up 380 passing yards. Not very good. It was 5th worst in the league. Oh, guess what? Redskins defense did better this year, 377.9. Not much better. In my opinion, it's about the same, but people want to go on a slice hairs. People want to split hairs and say, the defense sucked this year. The only one category the defense did worse in. Defense did worse in one category this year, and that was this. 3rd down. They did worse. That's the only one they did worse in. They didn't give up more yards. They did not give up more points. How do we add Josh Dobson? We add Josh Dobson. Our offensive line gets better. We add Vernon Davis, and we score less touchdowns, less passing touchdowns with an elite quarterback than we did the year before when we didn't have those guys. Someone answer that question for me. How? It's not the defense's fault. Defense gave up pretty much the same amount of yards, 23 23.7 in 2015, 23.9 in 2016. And they actually statistically were higher in the league. They are 14th in the league this year. They were 16th last year. So does anyone else want to try to throw the argument at me? Anyone else? Seriously. Points per game, about the same. 24.2, 24.8 for our offense. That is why I'm saying that Kirk Cousins underachieved. Kirk Cousins was given extra weapons, and he did not step up and do the job. That is what my point is. That is what my argument is. And in the past, we've had a quarterback, and I won't say his name, who did not get the job done, and he was ridiculed. He was raked through the coals to a point where some people accused it of being dang near racist. I don't think it was. I thought it was somewhat fair criticism. But now, for some reason, we're giving a quarterback who just got paid $19.3 million last year. Now he's getting paid $24 million this year. We're giving him a pass. We're giving him a pass because we're afraid if we hurt his precious little feelings, he's gonna leave. Go somewhere else and we won't have a quarterback anymore. Well, tough crap. The stats that I just laid out prove, and if anyone wants to debate it, you're basically going off emotion, not off any logic. Prove that Kirk Cousins, given more weapons this year, did not step up. And anyone who wants to throw the defense, I just threw the defensive stats at you. Our defense went through 4 or 5 major injuries. Our defense statistically was projected to be middle of the pack, which is what they end up being. Our offense was projected to be top 3. And they did not finish top 3. They saw yards, sure, but they didn't finish top 3 at all. There were teams with worse defenses than us that made the playoffs. Why is that? Because their offense has stepped up. Green Bay statistically was worse than us. Raiders were statistically worse than us. Falcons were statistically worse than us. There were 3 teams right there that made the playoffs. They made the playoffs, and their defense were statistically worse than ours. Why did they make the playoffs? Because their offenses were better. They scored more points. If our defense was giving up 30 points a game and our offense was scoring, if our offense was scoring 30 points a game and our defense was giving up 35, everyone who wants to blame the defense would have a legit argument. If our defense was giving up third down conversions and they were giving up 30 plus points a game, you would have a legitimate argument. You don't have a legit argument, considering statistically they were the same as they were the year before, except in one category. They were worse in one category, and that was third down conversions. But they still kept teams out of the end zone. That's a fact. They kept teams out of the end zone. And with the offense we had, based on the yardage we had, if Kirk Cousins were done with the minimum, if he just had the same amount of touchdowns he had the year before, we'd have won 4 or 5 more games, easily. At least 3. Okay? We'd have definitely beaten Cincinnati. We'd have beaten the Giants on the last game of the year. Right there is 2 wins. That's our damn tie, and that's our division rival we would have beat. And I can go with a lot of other games this year, but we did not lose because of our defense. We lost because our offense wasn't doing good enough, and our defense kept us in a lot of games because of how bad we were. We had way too many field goals this year. And the stats I just showed proved it. Anyone who wants to argue this is literally just ignoring the statistics. The statistics don't lie. Points, yards don't equal points. Touchdowns equal points. And I proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that Kirk Cousins did not, and I repeat, did not do his job in the red zone. And that is why our team suffered this year and was worse this year than it was last year. That is why I think he deserves 85% of the blame. Does the defense get some blame? Sure. They fixed this number. We might have had a couple extra possessions. That's fine. You can make that argument. But our defense did statistically the same. And the only drop-off we had as a team was right here on Kirk Cousins, when he goes from almost 30 touchdowns to barely hitting 25. When he goes from 60% completion percentage in the red zone to 40 and 30. That's what my argument is. That is what my problem with Kirk Cousins is. I do think he's a franchise quarterback. I just think everyone gives him a pass because, we don't want to hurt his feelings and him run away. No. If he's a good quarterback, he can take criticism. But for some reason, we don't want to criticize him. That is what my argument is. That is what my issue is with Kirk Cousins. And that's the issue I have with other Redskins fans. Now, I've been called other people call me or not a real Redskin fan. Don't fucking judge me. I've been a Redskin fan my entire life. And I have a higher standard for what I think my team should be than you do. If you want to sit back and coddle a guy who just puts up numbers, changes the plays in the huddle to something more safer, and I didn't even mention this. I didn't think it was point, but 42% of his passing yards are yak yards, which means he'll throw the ball to a receiver on like a 2-yard out and let him run for first downs. On a near constant basis, he will call a play that is a safe bet, that he can get a ball out, get a completion, and keep his numbers high. That is an insider information from Stephen A. Smith. And I trust Stephen A. Smith. I don't know about everyone else, but I trust Stephen A. Smith. He has a lot of insider news from a lot of different teams. And he breaks news long before other people do. So you can believe it if you don't want to believe it. I provided stats. What are you going to provide me with? Your emotional little babble and your whiny bitchiness? That's fine. You can use that, but it's not going to get you by in a discussion or arguing with me. If anyone wants to debate this, you can bring forth an actual argument. I have Redskins had a lot of injuries on defense. They statistically put up the same numbers, other than one category, which was third down completions or stopping teams on third downs. Yards and points were pretty much the same thing. That didn't change. What dropped off was our points and our red zone efficiency, which can be related to the quarterback. And everyone wants to say, oh, the coaching was bad. Well, the coaching got him 4,917 yards. The coach can't go out there and execute for him. That's his job. Execution is his job. So when people want to sit there and say, oh, he's not executing very well, tough shit. That's part of his job is to execute. Part of his job is to throw the right passes. Okay? Some plays were not called very well. They hadn't hit a fade all year. Why you run a fade midway through the season? I don't know. Last year we did a one-step and slant of Garcon a lot, and it worked. That is partially coaching, but it's also partially Kirk Cousins' job when he's allowed to change the plays. So he can change the plays to make himself have more yards, but he can't change the play to something that's going to be more effective in the red zone. That's not 100% his fault. I mean, it's not 100% the coach's fault. When he can change the plays to something that helps him. For all we know, he changed the play to the fade, too. That's possible, too. He could have changed the play to the fade. Less chance of an interception. I don't know. But that's my video, and that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. I do think Kirk Cousins should be franchised. Or should be a franchise quarterback. Because he does have talent. I'm not debating he doesn't have talent. And I'm not debating he doesn't put up numbers. My debate is that as a Redskin nation, I think we don't have a high standard for what we deem to be acceptable as a franchise quarterback. Meaning, we need to have a better standard for what we demand from him. Meaning, demand that he fix these numbers. When he doesn't put up good red zone numbers, we call him out on it. When he doesn't put up the touchdowns, we call him out on it. When he throws an interception in the red zone against the Dallas Cowboys, we call him out on it. So on and so forth. I can go all day with all the screw-ups and fuck-ups he had all year, but I'm not going to. I'm going to let the stats speak for itself, and that is where my opinion lies. These yardage doesn't matter. Because if he'd have put up anywhere near close to the yards he should have had based on these numbers, we wouldn't be having this discussion. I would have no discussion, no problem with Kirk Cousins. Want to know why? Because every other quarterback who's put up almost 5,000 yards passing has put up 40 fucking touchdowns. And Kirk Cousins didn't get close to that. That's my point. That's my video. I'm sticking to it. This is JD, and this is Disgruntled Redskins Fan number 3. Now, anyone who wants to argue with me, fine. Argue with me. I don't give a shit. But you're not going to come at me with nothing but your emotional babble. This is fact, and this is statistics. See ya.